Hi, welcome to the Break Free campaign. I am Sandanita Chaudhary. I am a clinical psychologist and founder of Spriha Wellness, which is a wellness center which focuses on bringing out the potential. আমাৰ চবৰে মাজতে যি ভাল বস্তুবোৰ আছে ইম্পৰ্টেণ্ট বস্তুবোৰ আছে সেই ইম্পৰ্টেণ্ট কোৱালিটিজবোৰ কেনেকৈ আগুৱাই আনিব পাৰোঁ আৰু ফ'কাছ ইজ অন ডেট আৰু ফ'কাছ ইজ অন ট্ৰান্সফৰ্মিং পিপলছ লাইফ চ' আজি আমি আপোনালোকৰ মাজত এটা তেনেকুৱা ধৰণৰে ইনস্পায়াৰিং ষ্টৰী এটা লৈ আনিছোঁ এণ্ড টুডেজ this podcast is the first in this particular campaign titled Break Free. As it suggests, it is a transformation story about one's resilience, about breaking free from something which was very difficult for them. Enuka বিভিন্ন ধৰণৰ কিছুমান struggle which they have been able to overcome. So let me just first introduce you all to our guest, Shristi. So yes, so I would want Shristi to tell a bit about herself. Shristi is a 23-year-old lady who came to me around 5-6 months back when she was going through a difficult time. We all go through a difficult time, is it not? So it's okay. We got in touch at that point of time, and with the changes that Shristi has made, I had to share her story with everybody, with all my viewers, so the people can get a very positive message to it. So I am now passing on to Shristi, who was one of my past clients, and we will hear the story from her. Let me just hand it over to her. Yes, Shristi.
Thank you for the kind introduction. Um, I think it feels like a compliment to hear that you have considered me as someone to be part of this campaign. I think it's a very positive step that you're taking towards the community in general. It's just not just about me or any other individual. So yeah, I think to be called an inspiration is a bit of a box. Thank you. Uh, Other than that, a bit about me. I have just recently completed my post graduation, and I feel like I can speak for everyone around my age that all of us, like young adults, always feel like we have some sort of secret, some sort of trouble that we can't share with anyone. We are afraid of being judged, and we as the Gen Z collective feel like there are always people out there who are like good judge us, and we feel at odds with our parents, with the education institutions, and our friends, our peers. We feel like everything is at odds with each other. Um, so I was just another one of those people that was caught up in this mess, all young adulthood, in the early 20s, is where you don't really go whether like what's your future and what's even you right now. So yeah, I did struggle a lot, even though that's an understatement. I struggled a lot during my post graduation years. Um, so there were times, initially, there were times that I just used to get frustrated out of nowhere. Sometimes I used to feel this disorientation from my daily life. Uh, I used to suddenly feel like I have achieved nothing when I saw my peers getting some kind of prizes or something. I always used to feel like, oh my God, I haven't done anything of my life. There was always this feeling of constant procrastination as well as constant self doubt and self blaming. Other than that, I would also say in comes to my friends. Um, and also my relationships. Just like my career or my future, nothing was guaranteed. And we always, when we get into friendships or relationships, we always had this constant pressure to like perform as a good partner, to have a healthy relationships, not be a red flag and whatnot. So all those things sort of made me very performative. I felt like a sort of um, went sort of disjointed with my like from my personal life to even my own identity. Eventually, I started getting very uncomfortable with my own presence. And when things sort of got out of control, that was when I decided, no, this has to change. I'm not doing fine. And yeah, so that's from where I started. And here I am.
No, it's really true. Shrishi, the way you told that during the early 20s, we have just reached our adulthood. And with the changing pressures, we see that we have to meet the standard that the other person is meeting up. So somewhere we feel that probably we are lagging behind. Yeah. And I'm sure if everybody, each and every one of us, not just the early adulthood people, but any age group, people who might have also be outgrown from that particular age group, they will know that at that point of time, even now when you were saying your things, I was trying to recall back my 20s. So I was in I did my graduation from Delhi University. So at that point of time, I was also in a different place away from my city. So yes, at that point of time, I also went through my all struggles. But we hardly speak about it, and we hardly take help at that point of time. So that is when things get worsening. What do we usually do is mostly we try to just cover that up, or we talk to our friends about it, and probably our friends will help us by telling their own opinion
Yeah.
and perspective of those things, and that's how we end up making our decisions in those point of time. But I would like to bring the light to each and everyone watching this is all the struggles that the adulthood phase has, these are all real. Some things are there which go unnoticed, but we all of us go through some kind of issues or the other, emotional issues, and that's quite normal. We might go through our periods of sadness, anxieties, and that's quite normal. It's an emotion. So there is nothing to feel shy about. I also went through the same when I was at a particular point of time. I being a therapist also. So that's okay. We are human at the end of the day. So yes. So Shishti, I want you to now tell me, uh, when you are going through your difficult period of time, how did you decided to take help? What were your notions about taking help, or anything of that sort?
Okay. Just as you said, usually when we have this sort of problems, when we are anxious or we are having this sort of troubles, we usually rely on our friends. They become our unpaid therapist.
Yeah.
But yeah, they also put their own opinions in it. So initially, that was my response. Whenever I had trouble, I used to call up my friends or my partner. I used to just tell them I'm not doing okay. I'm not doing okay. And then eventually the I'm not doing okay days took over the I'm doing okay days. So so I thought that I had to move from that. And yes, talking to my parents about it was not my first option because well, my parents are quite strict, and I had this notion that they won't be accepting of whatever problems I'm having. So eventually, I realized that no, trying to take help from friends is in fact putting a burden on them, also on me, also because I'm not getting any solutions.
Hmm.
So even amidst all the academic problems and the tight schedule, I decided no, I need therapy. I need some kind of professional help. So yeah, from there on, I started um, taking therapy, and I would say that even though I had started taking therapy, I was initially not taking it very seriously. This was something that was noted by my friends also. They also noticed that I was, even though on verbally I was saying that no, I support therapy, I support this. Subconsciously, I was undermining it. I was like, "Oh, what will happen even if I do therapy? I don't think I'm going to improve." So So days went by like that, and then I completed my post graduation, and then I came to Spriha.
Yeah.
So when I came here, there also I had the same attitude towards healing. It's like that subconscious judgment we already put on ourselves, uh, like it's not going to work out. I don't think, like, maybe she's good, but I'm not capable of healing. But in spite of those thoughts, I was like, what's the harm if I tried? So, because it's my mind, my body after all, and I have to take care of it, and I already tried everything that I could have, that I thought of at my front, but it was not helping. That's why I started this uh, healing journey at Srihas. So I would say since then I properly, dedicatedly tried to take care of this process, and it has taken me a long. Yes.
So, yes, one very striking reason for your transformation I would like to mention is your father.
Yes, absolutely.
So, although you mentioned that, yes, we are little hesitant to talk to our parents regarding our own mental health
Yeah.
issues. But when you approached your parents, the way they showed support was incredible. And
Yes, yes.
the message is for all the parents out there that even if your child may be going through some kind of issues, they might not be talking to you well even about the issues, but that's okay. Try talking to them about would they want any help in that, because that can make a difference. So that was actually a very good initiative that he took. He understood the need of it. Most of the times, the stigma around psychotherapy revolves around that. Why should I take psychotherapy? I'm not mad.
Yeah.
Why do I need to go for counseling? It's better. I talk to my friend. Why do I need to pay so much of money over there? So these are some common myths relating to psychotherapy. So which was again broken down when you decided. The next transformative step that I see here was that when you decided uh, that okay, I should now take things in my hands.
Yeah.
Many a times when we uh, take a step because somebody has told us that okay, go and do it, but until the moment when we want to make a change, the change is not going to be visible. So you took therapy prior also, but those changes were not prominent
Yeah.
because somehow, as you mentioned, that unconsciously you were not giving your own efforts.
Yes, yes.
Therapy is not just about listening,
Yeah.
but it is about implementation. So I would want you to tell me a bit about the implementation part as we have completed the 10 weeks of mindfulness integrated cognitive behavior therapy and bachelor therapy. When we were discussing about the evaluation and everything, when I had briefed you about everything, and then how did you came up that how did you decided over the times, over the process of implementing the things that were discussed in the therapy?
Okay. Um, so I would say that since the beginning, even though, as I said, I was sort of letting myself down, I believe that was part of my this whole anxiety thing. Um, in spite of that, I knew what I wanted. I wanted solutions, and when I started my therapy at Stihas, like, we have a lot of notions about what therapists are. We just think, okay, we tell our troubles to them, they'll listen, and that's how we'll get our solutions. They'll tell us what to do. I also had those notions. I felt like, okay, maybe she'll tell me what to do. She'll tell me how should I make decisions. So that was my initial notion. Yes.
Was I able to stick on to the notion or was it broken?
Uh, I would say that yes, you did help me, but it wasn't like, I would say that it wasn't like what we see in the movie. Yes. Yeah. For one, I would say that she was very non-judgmental. I went on and on about whatever problems I had, and you like hardly commented on anything. That is, I would say, one of the most striking difference between talking to a therapist and talking to a friend, because the therapist doesn't take anything you say personally. But of course, you can't treat her like a wall. You have to listen to her. She will listen to you, and I listen to her. It's a transactional relationship. So, the very first thing, the very first bad habit I had is that whenever I had a problem, I did not used to think it through myself. Like, even if I used to think, I would only think of the bad thing. So the first thing, the very first thing you told me when I came to take my to take an appointment was that I should start writing a journal. So many people have a habit of journaling, but I did not have that habit. And it was not until I started journaling I realized how important that was to me. Yes. And I did not just write about the good things. I did not just write poems there. Sometimes it was just random thoughts. Just maybe sometimes I don't have any thoughts at all. I just write two lines, whatever I'm thinking back then. But it just felt like I had one friend that I could talk to. Yeah, no matter, even if I'm alone, even if I'm in company of others. So that was the first thing. And from the second or third week itself, uh, we um started a very step by step process. Yes, for mindfulness integrated CRT. We started meditations. Yes. So meditation, this word, this also um has a very sort of shallow perspective, not yeah, very shallow perspective. And this is something that I have also heard from people that I have told that I practice in this. Um, they used to say that, okay, that's just meditation now. Okay, all right. I also do that for 5 minutes. I'm like, for 5 minutes. So initially, when I was told that I have to practice meditation for like 30 minutes, I was blown out of my mind. I was like, 30 minutes, how will I do that? Uh, so it was impossible for me. And yeah, why meditating? I used to fall asleep. Yeah. Yeah. First, we had the initial challenges. Yes. At that point of time. Yes. And, but I noticed that, oh my God, this thing is helping me. Like, the first, we started with making a connection with our body. Yeah. Like through the PSR. Yeah. Muscle relaxation. So, I really liked doing that because it somehow felt like the tension was just leaving through my body, and it just like helped me calm down my anxiety. Like I could feel that. Yes. So anxiety is a very heavy feeling in the chest. So no one likes that. But uh, through the subsequent phases, I was told that I had to accept this anxiety, this feeling of anxiety, as from a neutral perspective, not see it as like a good or bad things. See it as like a neutral thing, like it fades, but what is the nature of this thing? So I found that to be very challenging at times, but also very helpful because whenever I had anxiety, like even if I have it these days, the first thing I try to do is to not look at it in a bad way, like, oh my God, I have anxiety again. What will happen to me? So I try to see it as a normal body reaction. Like sometimes we have a bad stomach, we have a stomach ache, or sometimes we have a toothache. But we don't think, oh my God, we are too. We try to live with it, try to accept it. And that comes a long way. So it sounds very shallow even when I'm trying to explain it. I believe that the best way to understand this process is to do it. Yes. Talking about it is fine, but doing it will bring visible changes, showing results.
And that's the difference, I would say, no? Because when you mentioned that you previously also underwent therapy, underwent counseling, but at times when we practice certain therapists, it depends on the professional what kind of therapy are they using. So it's very important that you know from the therapist. I am not saying that they have to take it from me only, but when you are going to any professional, you have to know about his or her degrees or what therapy will be practiced, and will you be comfortable in doing that kind of practice. It's always good to try, but you have to see that is it just listening. Because see, when we compare it to our friends, how is different, how is it different from, how is counseling different from talking to a friend and a therapist. So a friend will give you the solution, that you went with a particular problem, they will tell you, okay, do this, do that, he or she should have done this, that. But when you are going to a therapist should not be giving you solutions.
Yeah.
I did not told any of the changes that would be required for you. If you remember in the initial session, I had asked you what is it that you would want. Because only if a person wants a change, that can be bought out. And the change have to be told by the person himself. I cannot decide the change for the person. That is the first step. Only when you are thinking that yes, I absolutely want to make a change in that, you have to come out of that victim mode, that things are not working out for me. For everything is work. Everybody, everything is working. We have to come out of that mode. Only then we can change it. So, and then the next step is when you are knowing about, okay, this is, we all know, right, that we have to think positive. We don't have to be fearful when we are anxious. But how well are we able to stick to that? The role will be fulfilled only when we are doing a regular practice. That's where the mindfulness exercises implementation part comes in. Yes. And that internally in your body, in your brain, those mechanisms change, and that actually brings in a change. Mm. So, Shrishti, I would want to know a before after of a particular situation. How did you behave prior? It can be a particular episode also, a situation also. You had behaved in this particular situation is in this manner, but after therapy, you reflected that okay, there is a change. So, were there any reflections that you were able to identify, and by when?
Okay. Um, so this is a bit heavy of a topic for me,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but I will still talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
I said this many times. I feel like there are some things that have been recurring, but uh, uh, when I was during my post graduation phase, I actually uh, used to not trust my own company. That sounds a bit strange because how can a person not be comfortable with their own company? Like, how can they not trust themselves? But that was a recurring thought I had. Like, I don't trust myself. I'm alone in my room. Okay, I I'm doing this, doing that. Suddenly a thought will arise. Okay, I think I'm not safe in my own company. I might do something to harm myself just to rid myself of the anxiety that I had. Because sometimes the anxiety got so strong, like it, it just felt so overwhelming. I did not know how to deal with it. So I basically used to like I basically could not think rationally when it came to myself, and sometimes engaged in very harmful activities with myself and with others. I used to uh, be angry at others for not giving me company, used to make them feel guilty. And that used to again harm me only. I would consider it as boundary. So yeah, it was pretty serious at one point. Hmm. Yes. I
So
basically
it's brave of you to speak about it,
yeah.
and with the courage that you are speaking about it now. uh, I can I can just recall the times when you told me about this first time, and now when I'm seeing the change when you are able to elaborate on it
Yeah.
now, so I can see the
I pretty much used to break down when I talk about it. But uh, I still see that it is my fear that okay, this is going to happen to me again. Even if it does, I may feel like I mean, so that's a major attitude change from my end, I believe. So after my university over, I was back at home, and even though I had parents with me all the time, most of us, in strict Indian households, we feel like we are not really understood by our parents. Even then, my parents were very supportive, contrary to my beliefs. But even then, like when I am in my own privacy, there was times that I used to feel deeply anxious about my future, about whatnot, about whether this an anxiety issue will go down. Uh, so basically, I did not know how to deal with my own anxiety. I always relied on other people to grant me immediate support. So that is one major change I would say that has happened before and
And now, how is it now?
now I would say that I would thank you and I would thank everyone that has supported me in this journey. So now, even if I get anxious, I don't feel the urge to hurt myself. So I feel like that is a big achievement for me.
That's the big.
Like
Hmm.
to be, I could cannot now imagine that there used to be a point where I used to really feel unstable with myself. Yeah, now it feels a bit ridiculous to think about it, but then it's fine. Like has happened and uh I have overcome it. Has so um I would say that is one big hurdle that I have been able to overcome. Yes, a therapy did not magically just make all the troubles in my life just disappear with a poof. I'm still the same person. But I know how to deal with my emotions. I don't feel like I'm going to hurt myself with every little bout of anxiety that I have. And I don't see anxiety negatively. So that's one big perspective, GL, that I'm showing to true.
That's a very good takeaway that you told, that we don't have to see that feeling. Anxiety is a feeling,
Yeah.
not seeing it negatively as something I don't want this. And yes, I would like to tell that this particular thought that you had, that I don't like my own company. Mostly, we also have this tendency at times that if we cannot just sit without our phones for 5 minutes,
Yeah.
we keep asking for that stimulation. It can be a company of a human being, non-human being, phone, watching social media. So that itself tells us that our mind is always occupied. We are always in the want of some kind of stimulation, which happens with each and every one of us. But the moment we realize that, okay, this is not helping me, because when we are moving towards that, if we are not getting that, again it creates lot of distress,
Yeah.
which is one of the most prominent teachings of MICBT that I had applied with you. And thanks to Dr. Bruno, from whom was able to learn it, this particular modality, and who had actually taught me of how to go about this understanding. And as you have come out of this particular issues, it's very easy, I would say, to come out of this for any person. If the person wants to come out of that mode of passive mode and being a active, take a proactive role in it and bring change in it, they will be able to change it. So
Yes.
incredible change, that self-harming, emotional dysregulation, distress tolerance, everything, those uh, indicators that we were able to see, those were incredible. Thank you. And that was also only possible because of you.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. So, how do you feel about your overall mindset now that you are changing? Growth, healing is a process. I won't say that it's for a day or two, even though we have come up to the therapy termination, but we will still be meeting. But at the same time, as situations will keep coming up, that is one of the hard fact of life, problems will keep coming up. But how do you see that your mindset shift is there?
Uh, when it comes to my mindset, there used to be me that used to feel a lot of anxiety during my post graduation years, and there is me now. I don't think personality wise I have changed much. And I would say that's a good thing because sometimes we fear change in our life surely because we are so content with our present self. We are like this. I like this. Yes, you have to deal with it. And they won't. We will romanticize it. Like I am broken person. You have to you have to deal with it now. No, true. Your broken part is not the entire you. It is just a part of you that needs to be repaired. And yes, it's a sensitive part, and there will be many cases throughout our lives that will trickle that tickle that sensitivity. However, we should know in what times should we be assertive and let our decisions be guided through those emotions, and in what times should we just let go of those emotions and carry on with our daily lives. So true.
Do you also see a change in your confidence level?
uh, my confidence level, that's a difficult question, but I think yes, absolutely yes. Otherwise I would not have turned up for this. So yeah, I think definitely because earlier I used to be scared just to step out of my house and
Yes, I also remember we discussing about that social media thing, your own social media.
yeah.
So that is something probably you have to take up next.
Yeah, I should probably think about next. Yeah. So that was also part of my healing process. There were a lot of things that I have been consciously or subconsciously avoiding, but it is now I have realized what I'm avoiding. And yes, I will be working on it. I am working on it. Yes. And I'm trying to make progress. I'm trying to do what I.
Yes. What's your message? What's your message for the youngsters, for the people who might be hesitant to seek help and still they might be struggling in their own ways, but they are not coming up for help? What would you like to tell them?
Um, to someone like that, I would say that at the end of the day, it's up to you. Like, you have to decide what you want for your health. But I believe that as a society, as collectives, uh, our issues are actually not just our issues. It's not just my issue if I'm feeling bad or if someone is feeling bad. It's like a butterfly effect. I'm feeling that it's affecting another person. And yeah, so as a society itself, I feel like um, we should like take the step forward towards healing. And there are many times we may feel like our problems are no big deal to other people. Yes, it may not be a big deal to other people, but if it's affecting you and you feel like it's disturbing your daily life, then you should 100% seek help. And I'll be honest here, therapy is sort of a luxury for many people. And for youngsters like us, we rely on our parents to provide for us. So, one of the big steps we need to take is to talk to our parents. Yes, true. So, that is a very difficult uh, step, but and a lot of people, parents may not be supportive. So, but even then, there are independent, not independent, like government organizations that do provide free therapy. So if you're hesitant, I would say that just look up. Yes, some kind of help they should be seeking. Just look in the internet or anywhere. You'll find that there are places in which you can seek professional help. And of course, don't 100% rely always on your friends or teachers or any other close people you have, because they might not be able to provide a very neutral perspective towards your problems. So, yeah, my overall message is, if you feel like you're not doing okay, that's okay. But if you want to be okay again, you should seek help.
Yes.
So, yes.
Yes.
And I have been telling that to my friends also. Like, it's not as a casual remark. Whenever they tell me that they are not doing very well, I tell them that you might be considering therapy. So, yeah. Yes. So
Yes.
that's basically the.
Yes, that's a very powerful message that you have passed, that it's okay not to be okay.
Yeah. It's okay to not
Hmm.
be okay, but also it doesn't mean that you're mad.
Yes.
It doesn't mean um that you're some extraordinary creature from another universe. No. You're like me, you're like all of us, but you do need help. Just like when we have a stomach ache, we don't just sit and think that, okay, this will just go away on its own. If it continues for a few days, we go and see a doctor, right?
Yes, true.
So it's like that.
You will recover. We don't keep on thinking if we have a like a chest pain, if we have to go to a cardiologist, we don't keep thinking, right? Okay, will the cardiologist judge me? Will people think something if I go to the cardiologist or to the
Exactly.
gastro doctor? So we don't think. But why do we think when we have to reach a mental health
Those
professional?
things are treated as normal. It's not a problem if you have some kind of issues that are related to your emotions or mentality either. Like, but you should seek help. Just because your stomach ache is common thing doesn't mean that you just sit and suffer and call it
Yes.
part of your body, part of the personality, right?
Yeah, very,
So yeah,
very true.
it's like that.
Yes. So, Shrishti, I would also want you to tell me, as you mentioned that initially you had difficulty in talking to your parents regarding your own issues, but how did you approach them, and what kind of stance did you took at that point of time of while you were approaching them, and how was the support that you received from them after that or while therapy was ongoing?
Okay. So I won't say my parents were both my parents were entirely supportive of therapy, but my father was. And my mother felt a little dejected.
Mm.
Because me being her daughter, she felt that I was having some kind of big pain, big secret that was really affecting me, but I was not sharing with her. So I had a bit of a difficult time telling her, letting her know that no, I am okay. It's just that there are certain things from my past and from my present that are hurting me right now. And I don't think this divulging them will make me feel better.
Mm.
And I want to get better. And so, yeah, it took her some time, but she could accept it. As for how I initiated this conversation, for a long time, for over 4 to 6 months, I was actually keeping most of these things to myself, including the more difficult details like self harm and anger issues, anger outbursts. But eventually, like, there was this one day, I remember, there was this one day in which I was in my university, and I was in my hostel alone. I skipped class that day. And I remember feeling extremely rejected. Like, I felt like just lying there on my bed. I still remember the experience. Just lying there on my bed, I thought that this was the day I am going to be unalived. So, maybe out of desperation, out of no other option, I called my parents and told them, um, Dad, I'm really not feeling okay. Can you guys please come here? So they took a very long 4 hour journey, 4 to 5 hour journey to visit me, and they spent some time with me for a few days. So in those few days, I did not tell them, but actually I just had a breakup. So in those 4 days, I it helped me get back to my reality and help me get back to this realization that yeah, just because I have lost my partner doesn't mean that I have lost everything. Still have a lot of things. And I had a short trip with them, felt good. It made me realize that the world is still the same. It's not that I have lost everything. So my parents, um, while my university was still going on, there were still a few days before its completion. So just talking to them just made me feel so much better because it reminded me again about my roots, about some people that have always been there. So yeah, I thought that they were going to be very unsupportive. I thought they were going to judge me, but I saw that they were genuinely concerned about.
Yes, but that is basically the notion that you had. So that was an assumption.
Yeah, that was a notion I had, and I am guilty of it because, yeah,
Yes,
sometimes
but
things that
sometimes the thing is that even if we have a notion, it's important that we try to expose ourselves to those notions to see if it's true or not.
exactly,
Only then we will know is it
yeah,
true or it is just my own thinking.
exactly.
We might not realize.
So after that, also, my dad was very insistent. I was not very insistent. I honestly saying that I was sort of troubled by so much expenditure going after me. I felt very guilty and I felt like a burden. I felt like my parents are now seeing me as a sick child or anything.
Yes, yes,
So it was troubling for me also. I did not want to be, yes, troubling my parents. So, but even after that, my dad has been continuously supportive. He has helped me in commuting to give me some kind of just his presence gave me some sort of reassurance that okay, there is someone that's willing to support me.
yes, yes,
And
true.
yeah, even though my mother initially was not like she felt bad that I was not sharing things with her, but I was willing to share things to a stranger instead. So that felt wrong to her. So, but even then, she later on she did not say much. She let me do my thing, and I also managed to talk to her bit by bit. Because of spending so many years in university, I got a bit detached from them. So this period, this therapy process itself, it helped me set certain goals and um, also transform my relationship with my parents. How comfortable I am with them.
Yes, yes, absolutely. So your story is very powerful, and I'm sure it will help a millions. They will be able to relate to your story, and it will give them the strength knowing that emotion is something which is natural, and we can seek guidance for dealing with those hard emotions, dealing with the situations which are difficult for us at times. So thank you. Thank you, Shristi. Thank you so much for bringing up your story and letting people know about your beautiful story. That takes a lot of courage because what we usually do is mostly we if there is a very small problem, we would like to tell the story about it on and on. But when something positive is there, we are a bit hesitant to speak about it.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but once you had taken a step, only then you know that there is a millions of positive changes awaiting for you. So yes, so I'm sure your story will help many people. Thank you for sharing it. And if you know anybody who might be struggling with these kind of issues in general, let them know that help is possible, because only when they seek help they will be able to break free out of it. So here is bringing to you the first episode of our Break Free campaign to destigmatize the issues related to mental health issues. Signing out, here is your host, Sandamita Chaudhary.